Well, Iran's president is confirming Tehran will negotiate directly with the United States after weeks of escalating tensions between the two countries. President Masoud Pezeshkian said in a social media post, in light of requests from friendly governments in the region to respond to the proposal by the US president for negotiations, I have instructed my Minister of Foreign Affairs, provided that a suitable environment exists, one free from threats and unreasonable expectations, to pursue fair and equitable negotiations guided by the principles of dignity, prudence and expediency. A senior Iranian official has told Al Jazeera those talks are expected to be held in Turkiye in the coming days. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is expected to meet US Special Envoy Steve Witkoff. Well, Daniel Levy is president of the US Middle East Project and a former Israeli political negotiator. He joins us from London. Daniel, obviously you've long had your finger on the Israeli pulse. What's your reading? Do you think that Israel wants to see the US and Iran reach an understanding and end the possibility of military conflict?
I think there's a high degree of clarity on that, Sammy, that Israel is intent, as it has been throughout, and it has succeeded in the past in sabotaging any prospective diplomatic arrangement. We've seen it do that elsewhere in the region, but Iran is a primary focus. It's very clear from the briefings by senior Israeli officials, from what we're getting in the Israeli media, that Israel wants the US to do what it did in June of last year, to strike Iran, but to do so in a more expansive fashion. Of course, there are other things. Israel talks about the nuclear program, but it's the only nuclear-armed state in the region. Israel wants the focus to be Iran, not its continued violations of the ceasefire in Gaza. Israel wants to make sure that in the event of a strike, and Israel wants that military strike, it's not cosmetic, it's far-reaching, and that America has enough assets in the region to protect Israel, because Israel is totally dependent
to achieve
on
what,
that
though,
American protection.
To achieve what, Daniel? I mean, if we believe Trump's line that he completely obliterated Iran's nuclear program, what does Israel want then? Is it a matter of a change of government, or is it state collapse a la Syria and Libya and decades of civil war?
Yeah, and of course, those claims as to the effects of the strike in June should join the long list of not credible claims by the administration. You raise a really important point, Sammy. Although the Israelis have put a lot behind Reza Shah Pahlavi, the return of the Pahlavist dynasty, they don't believe their own hype. They don't think there's a neat regime change option here. The Israeli interest is, as it has been elsewhere in the region, and they have a regional ally, at least one, perhaps more, who see eye to eye on this, which is regime collapse, state collapse, a kind of imperialism for the 21st century where you look for the disintegration of the state, partition, you support secessionists. Look at that recognition in Somaliland. And in Iran, this would be the big prize. Can you get Iran to implode on itself? You remove not only the threat, but you increase Israel's freedom of action. And that is one of the reasons, Sammy, why you see such a different approach from Israel as opposed to others in the region. Because Israel knows Iran is far away. Israel manages the state collapse nearby by simply occupying other people's territory illegally, whether that's in Syria, Lebanon, Palestine, of course. But if Iran were to become chaotic, then it will be those neighboring countries that will bear the brunt of that spillover, whether in the Gulf, Turkiye, Afghanistan, Pakistan. They are leaning in to prevent this. They know what the Israeli playbook is. And they also know that if Iran were to be removed from the equation, and I'm not suggesting they will succeed in that, by the way, but if that were to happen, then Israel's capacity to assert its military domination in the region would expand significantly. And they don't want that because they look at Israel, many states in the region now, as the most radicalizing, destabilizing, revanchist state.
So where is the US interest? Is there a US national interest that you see that needs that kind of division and domination and instability in the region? Or is this more about the personal interests of the US president, what he feels he must do towards very powerful pro-Israel figures in the body politic there?
Right. I think it is hard to credibly make the case that what we were just describing would be in the US national security interest. You might be able to make a case that Iran is a supplier of energy to China. If you want to strengthen your hand in advance of negotiations with Xi, then you do what you did in Venezuela, you do this in Iran. But I think it's a weak case because I think this does not serve the US. And therefore, you see that debate inside the US, inside MAGA. Is this America first or is it Israel first? And I think what you have coming out of the Israelis, and you had a flow of senior Israeli security officials, the Mossad chief, the incoming Air Force commander, the chief of staff of the military, the intelligence director, all going to America to make the case for an extensive strike. And I think Israel will take those odds because it hopes that against the debate inside America over the US interest, against those in the region who are significant, who are pushing back against this, trying to assist diplomacy, Turkiye, Qatar, Saudi, others, Israel will say our avenues of access inside the US mean that we are in a strong position to push our case. And we're going to see how that plays out, I think, in the coming days and weeks.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much. Daniel Levy there, president of the US Middle East Project.
Thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.